Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Namaskara to all. This is your host Soumya. Welcome everyone to yet another session from Indica Moksha on the account of Global Festival of Oneness 2024. This is the 5th edition. And this is a month-long festival on Adi Shankaracharya Bhagavadpada, covering various aspects and topics of Advaita Vedanta. Today's topic is Hammers of Wisdom, Bhaja Govindam, by Dr. Aravind Raghavan Sreenivasan ji. Let me introduce the speaker to you. Dr. Aravind ji is a PhD from IIT Bombay and currently is working as a senior scientist at Coring Research Center, India. He also volunteers at Chinmaya Yuva Kendra to share our cultural heritage and scriptural knowledge with the youth. He has conducted more than 500 self-development workshops for wide-ranging audience from children to corporate. He facilitates weekly sessions for youth on Bhagavad Gita and other scriptures to empower themselves from the learnings. He has also acted in several plays and co-scripted 2 plays just like that based on Bhagavad Gita and Dharma Yodha Vidyaranya based on the life of Swami Vidyaranya ji. With that introduction, over to you, Aravind ji.
Pranams. First of all, I want to make sure I'm audible and I'm clear.
Yes.
Right. Thank you so much, Soumya ji, for the kind introduction, and thank you so much, Indica Moksha, for this opportunity to be part of such a prestigious series. And I know there are some really illustrious speakers who have graced this stage, and I'm really happy to be here. And I'm even more excited here to talk on some topic that's extremely, it's a very beautiful and captivating topic. And we will go into it a bit more. And the title of it itself is something that basically I don't have to choose because the text itself lends that title towards it. So I'm going to be using a presentation to kind of spice things up as we discuss further. So let me just share my screen and get going. So please, can someone just confirm if my screen is visible?
Yes.
Thank you. So this topic is called Hammers of Wisdom, and it's actually based on Bhaja Govindam, which is a very beautiful composition of Bhagavadpada Adi Shankaracharya. And again, there are so many different speakers or different texts who have written commentaries on this Bhaja Govindam itself. I have read most, the one that I've followed the most is one by Swami Chinmayanand. So most of what I'm going to be sharing is based on his commentary of the Bhaja Govindam. But the verses themselves are extremely beautiful. So let's, without taking up much time, let's kind of try to understand what this Bhaja Govindam is all about. So in Vedanta, there is something called as Anubandha Chatushtaya. Those who are traditional seekers of Vedanta, they would know what it is instantly. But let me just elaborate it a bit for the others. So Anubandha Chatushtaya basically is something that whenever I'm going to start any new text or any new scripture, I should know what are the various things associated with it. So they have it, and just think about how systematic our whole scriptures are, or our Sanatan Dharma is. That it is not that okay, I've written something, now you read it and follow it, and that okay, that's it. No, it's not like that. Everything has got some a lot of very clear instructions and clear definitions of how one should go about studying it. So the first thing that is talked about in Anubandha Chatushtaya is the Vishaya, or the subject. Okay, what is the subject of this text? That's the first thing that one needs to understand. Because without that, you wouldn't try to make it. It's not like a magazine, right? You go to waiting at a doctor's clinic and you just pick up the magazine and you read it. That's not how we are going to approach study of Vedanta or study of any scriptures. So we need to know what is in that in order to read it. Then we should know what is the prayojana, what is the purpose of this text. And because nothing is done, we don't do anything, time is limited, right, for all of us. So we need to know why we have to invest time and effort into reading that thing. So we should know the purpose or the prayojana of it. Then there is the sambandha, which is a connection. That how does the subject connect with the prayojana? How does the connection happen between the subject and the prayojana? So that is the sambandha or the connection. And finally, the adhikari. Who is the right person or the right target audience for this text? But not everything is meant for everyone, right? Like if someone who's in who's maybe from a science background suddenly picks up something which is like a some philosophy of calf of some very complicated stuff, then they're not going to understand anything like what's going on. Similarly, if somebody who is from the commerce field suddenly picks up as I said an engineering textbook, they may not make any sense out of it. So the point is there's the person who's there should be adhikari who is meant or the competent person for whom that is addressed. So Vishaya, the subject, Prayojana, the purpose, Sambandha, the connection between these two, and Adhikari, the right person or the competent person. This from the Anubandha Chatushtaya, which one needs to know before one starts the study of any text. We'll be looking at it. So we are here to try and understand these hammers of wisdom, which is Bhaja Govindam. So we need to understand a little bit more about about this from these four perspectives. So let us start with the Vishaya, the subject. It's a nice quote that I said, that face reality as it is and not as it was or as you wish it to be. Because one of the most difficult things to understand is reality. Because we all live in our own world of perceptions, right? So for us to understand reality becomes very difficult. And Bhaja Govindam basically is a reminder of the realities of life. It doesn't mince words. We will see as we go along. It's very direct, and it does not it doesn't try to try to present things in a very euphemistic way or try to brush it under the carpet. No, it just brings to bear whatever are the realities of life. So that is the one thing. So it's like straight to the point and brings out the realities. It also focuses on many common traps. The better. It's like a trap is effective only when we don't recognize it as one. Right? That's the whole point of a trap. If that's why when you want to trap some animal, etc., you need to put some make it with grass and other stuff and to disguise it. So a trap can only trap you if you're not aware that it is one. So Bhaja Govindam will bring out and show us that, hey, look, buddy, these are all the traps that you are getting into in life. And therefore, it tries to show us those things very clearly. So it focuses on those traps. It develops something called as Pratipaksha Bhavana. So Pratipaksha means side. Pratipaksha means sometimes it's something that people say, hey, why don't you look at things from a different perspective? Or why don't you look at things from another perspective? So that is something that Bhaja Govindam will do. We are so used and conditioned to look at things in only one way that we are all biased, right? So that's what creates the bias in us. So we are all conditioned by so many things, by life experiences, by what we have learned in life, by media, by social media, by the peers. So many things are there which try to condition us into thinking into one way only. Bhaja Govindam kind of opens up and shows us another side of things. That makes us think a little bit. And finally, it actually gives out certain steps towards living a free life, a life of freedom. So this is kind of the different topics that Bhaja Govindam deals with. All extremely important. So this is the Vishaya of, now we move on to the Prayojana or the purpose. Now, traditionally, the name of Bhaja Govindam is actually Moha Mudgara. So Mudgara means hammer. And Moha means delusion. Delusion is seeing something that is not, or not seeing something that is there. We can say both ways. Seeing something which is not there or not seeing something which is there. Both are signs of moha or delusion. So this is just as a hammer. Bhaja Govindam is a hammer which hammers at those delusions and makes, as I said, it makes the reality of life. So that's the actual name of Bhaja Govindam. But because it is the Bhaja Govindam keeps getting repeated in the chorus verse, we generally popularly it is called as Bhaja Govindam. But its actual name is Moha Mudgara. So what is this? What is the prayojan? One is it makes us realize that time is finite, but desires are infinite. These are not new statements. Right? We all know that time is finite. Everybody knows that time is finite. We all have whenever we are born, we have an expiry date fixed, and we all have a limited time. And even during the whole one day, we know the time is limited. In fact, you keep asking people, why don't you come and read this? I don't have time. I don't have time. I don't have time. अरे बहुत busy चल रहा है आजकल. अरे time बिल्कुल नहीं है. There's no time at all. that is like a common refrain that everybody says. So everybody knows that time is finite. And this is now across age groups. You ask small kids, also they say, I don't have time. You ask elders, they also say, I don't have time. So everybody knows that time is finite. Unfortunately, our desires, though, are infinite. So within that finite time, we have to satisfy infinite desires. Now that's an impossibility, right? It's impossible. You cannot, first of all, satisfy something which is infinite. And also, the time you have is very limited. Therefore, we must prioritize our life goals. Bhaja Govindam throws light upon what should be our priority in life. That's the parayojana of Bhaja Govindam. If one has gone through Bhaja Govindam in a proper way and understood its essence, one will take a real look at one's own life and feel that, oh, okay, I think these are not so important that they should replace these. These have to be given higher priority in my life and than the others. So this kind of a reprioritizing of our life goals is something that Bhaja Govindam will make us do. And that is the purpose or one of the main prayojan of Bhaja Govindam. It will break those delusions that we have and give us the clarity of what is really important in life. So this was, so we saw the Vishaya subject, then we saw the Prayojana, which is the purpose. Now we see the Sambandha. How does Bhaja Govindam try to connect using those topics that we just discussed, achieve this Prayojana? So this is achieved in a very unique way in Bhaja Govindam, where you have very, very sweet sounding but high impact verses. My first exposure to Bhaja Govindam had happened, I think, I'm sure many of us fall into this category, at least those from the southern parts of India, that there used to be one cassette called Bhaja Govindam and Vishnu Sahasranama Stotram by M.S. Subbalakshmi Amma. So there used to be two sides. One side used to be Bhaja Govindam, one side used to be Vishnu Sahasranama. So that cassette, for those of you who are wondering what are cassettes, you are a different generation. This is some years past, but this was basically the cassette, and that's where you heard MS Amma singing very beautifully, melodiously. She will sing the Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Modhamate. When she says Modhamate, it feels so nice. So these are very sweet sounding verses, and you can sing along. And that's how Bhaja Govindam became so popular. You can easily sing, we will sing it in the verses. They're very, very, very sweet sounding. And I also used to hear it like that. So I used to think it's a song. Like, Bhaja Govindam, I thought it was some bhajan dedicated to Krishna, Govinda, and Narayana. That's all my awareness was. Bhaja Govindam is some nice bhajan that one can sing to God. That's all. But it was not until I actually got associated with Chinmaya Mission and actually got that book that I looked at, and when I saw the meaning of what is Bhaja Govindam, it is something entirely, extremely powerful verses. The meaning of those verses are extreme. They fall like hammers, literally. We will see some teasers of that today. But that's how it achieves this. One is it's very sweet sounding, so easily one can remember, one can sing, and one can, there's so many tunes in which you can sing it. But at the same time, they are extremely powerful verses which will make us think. These verses, they will convey both urgency and importance. As I said, importance of what is important in life and also the fact that it is urgent. Often we know that many things are important, but we don't feel it urgent. That's why we never never gets done. We know that it is important. Like exercise, it's important. But you don't feel it's urgent. So it's like, hum kar lenge. When we get time, we will do exercise. But until the time, it really becomes urgent. Where the doctor says, if you don't do exercise now, say bye-bye to your life. Then you're like, oh my God, I have to now do exercise. So most of the time, we know things which are important, but we don't know whether they're urgent. Bhaja Govindam does both. It conveys the importance of things, and it also conveys to us the urgency of getting it done. It also doesn't just say out things. It gives simple steps that one can follow to improve ourselves. So Bhaja Govindam, some of the verses are just, they just bring out the realities. Some of the verses, they actually give you some guidelines. And hey, this is one way in which you can try to follow, or this is what you can do to overcome these issues. So this is how, some of the things are given that way. So so it gives both. It gives you the conveys the actual reality. It also gives you some simple steps to improve. So this is now we have seen three aspects of Anubandha Chatushtaya. We have seen the Vishaya, subject. We have seen the Prayojana or the purpose. We also see the Sambandha, the connection as to how this is brought about. And now finally, who is the Adhikari? For whom is it meant for? It is meant for all of us. It is meant for the confused and for the convinced. Many times we think that the Vedanta and all is no, it's too high for me, or it doesn't have any direct relevance on my life. I'm not going to comment on those topics for now. Those are beautiful topics to discuss in themselves. But we must understand that Bhaja Govindam compared to all the other texts is something that is very, very extremely practical. So practical that we are like, "Arey, itna practical nahi hona chahiye." So that is how practical it is. Also, it is meant for those who are not yet clear about life, what is going on, who are confused about life, who don't know their priorities. It is also for those who feel, I know what is my life, because it will make you take a relook and it will reignite our the desire to lead a purposeful life. It is meant for the confused and for the convinced. It is meant for every age group. In the introduction, Soumyaji mentioned that I take weekly discussions for the youth, and Bhaja Govindam is something that I have covered. In fact, a lot of this content that you see today is something that I have used for conducting those weekly sessions. And even young teenagers are extremely fascinated by Bhaja Govindam. You can see the kind of conversations that happened when we shared them. And it is not that it is meant for some very a different age group. For every age group, there are enough lessons to be taken from this. And in short, it is meant for anybody who wants to live a free life. Think about it. Isn't that something that all of us constantly crib about? There is no freedom nowadays. There is no freedom. There's no freedom. We're always bound by something or the other. We cannot live life. There's always some or the other, something which is holding us, which is pushing us, which is, pulling us. So constantly we are in that state. We all want that free life where we are free to do what we think is important. Bhaja Govindam is meant for anybody who has that desire. Honestly, that I don't think there's anyone who doesn't have that desire. But one point here is that Bhaja Govindam, unlike some of the other texts of Shankaracharya, where he takes up a topic and he will give different viewpoints of that topic, and he will argue intellectually. He will propose an idea, then he will dismiss his own idea by counter logic. So with a lot of intellectual debates, etc., are done for those things. And for example, in Prakarana Granthas, he will take every word and break it up and explain in detail what is the meaning of that word. So all of that. So that kind of a text Bhaja Govindam is not. It is not something, as I said, meant for some kind of scholarly debates. Not that it doesn't have depth. It has extreme depth. But it has not been written in the sense of, there's no explanation given, or there's not too much of detailed discussion or debate on some topic. It is just a stating of facts. Look, this is what it is. That's it. And so therefore it is not a text for that purpose. It's more for direct application in life. So now that we have seen all the four things, we have seen the Anubandha Chatushtaya, I hope all of us feel like a little curiosity. Let us see what it is. Hai kya ye Bhaja Govindam? Let us try to understand a little bit more. I hope that curiosity is there. And if it is not there, then hopefully by the end of this session, I hope that at least there will be curiosity to go and pick up a book or actually refer to Bhaja Govindam and understand it in more depth. So we know that Adi Shankaracharya composed it, but there's an interesting story behind this composition. So it is said that in Kashi, Adi Shankaracharya was walking with a group of his devotees, and as they were walking by, they saw one old person, quite senior in age. That person was actually trying to memorize some rules of Sanskrit grammar. There's Dukkan Karne, and he was, trying to memorize some rules of Sanskrit grammar. And in some versions, they say, in those days it was believed that, if something is very difficult to memorize, you need more blood flow to the brain. So it said that he was doing actually Shirsasana, meaning he was, upside down, his legs were to the wall, and he was doing Shirsasana and trying to memorize. Meaning what, more blood flow will go to the brain, that will help me memorize it easier. So he was doing this Dukkan Karne, that memorization. So when Adi Shankaracharya saw this just a strange scene of a very old senior person actually spending all his effort and time to memorize some rules of grammar. Spontaneously, Bhaja Govindam's verses flowed out of his mouth. We'll see what that verse is. I'm keeping the suspense for a little longer. And the first verse of Bhaja Govindam is shot out of his mouth. And after that, he didn't stop. He went on, after the first verse, which is often called the chorus verse, he went on and composed 12 more verses in that flow. Okay. Imagine what poetic greatness of Shankaracharya, that he just saw one thing and he inspired him not just to make one verse, but 12 verses, in 12 verses flowed, plus that chorus verse, 13 verses flowed from his Adi Shankaracharya's mouth. These are known as the Dwadasha Manjurika, or a bouquet of 12 flowers. That's a very beautiful name. It's a bouquet of 12 flowers. Now that's the Dwadasha Manjurika. So it's called like that often. So that's the first 12 verses. Now, technically, they were, the Shishyas of Adi Shankaracharya were also coming with him, right? When he was, giving this, composition. So, Swami Chinmayanji nicely says, sometimes when the Guru has to tell something to the Shishyas, he sometimes doesn't tell it directly. He will tell to the third person, but, it is also meant for the Shishyas. So, Gurudev, Chinmayanji will beautifully humorous. He sees all his Shishya, they are getting all the accolades and praise, and they are all, very busy in, writing their own compositions and spending so many time in so many things. Do they really remember what is their actual purpose? So, this was one way for him to convey to them as well what is the actual purpose of life, and that's why he composed those 12 verses. And it's not, thankfully, sometimes our Shishyas are so, they may have no clue that Guru is even talking to us. They'll be like, अरे उसको बोल रहे हैं, हम सुनते हैं, ताली बजाएंगे, very nice, Gurudev, very nice. But luckily, Shankaracharya ji's Shishyas are not like that. They must have sensed that the Guru is telling them also these things. So each of them, after Shankaracharya finished his composition, each of them, they came out with one verse. And what flowed was a set of 14 beautiful verses, which is called as Chaturdasha Manjurika. So that is, so you have 12 plus 1, which is 13, Shankaracharya's, plus 14 of the 14 verses that each of the different Shishyas of Adi Shankaracharya, each of them, they composed one verse. And finally, so that makes 13 plus 14, 27 verses. And finally, it is that, after hearing all the Shishyas, Adi Shankaracharya was so happy that, my Shishyas are understood and they also are in tune with what is the right thing. And he gives out 4 verses in the end, like a conclusion and like a benediction, both, like, like a blessing and like a conclusion. So 1 plus 12 plus 14 plus 4, that comes to 31. So 31 verses are there in Bhaja Govindam. Sometimes the orders are little, if you read different books, you will see the orders are little switched here and there of a particular verse. Like what could be the 13th verse, it's something maybe 16th verse. So there will see sometimes some order going here and there. But 31 verses are there together, which the whole of Bhaja Govindam, which consists the whole of Bhaja Govindam. And this name, right, Dwadasha Manjurika, and just the bouquet of flowers. It's a very beautiful name. Again, Swami Chinmayanji in his commentary, he says that this, if you look at a bouquet of flowers, any flowers, for example, it can bring us joy in different ways. Just by looking at it, we feel happy, right? So that's why, so many floral arrangements are done, right? In any celebration is done. So many floral, but just by looking at them, flowers make us happy. Or even when you go to a garden, you see the flowers, you feel happy. So just by looking, they can be happy. But for some people, you just looking is not enough. You bring it closer, you take a smell, and that fragrance adds to that happiness. So by looking, they are happy, and you smell them, they give more happiness. But for the bee, it is not just about how it looks or the fragrance. It's not satisfied only with that. It goes right down to the core of that flower and takes out that drop of nectar from it, right? Which is not available for the onlooker and not available for only the person who takes the fragrance. That is only available to that bee, which goes right deep into it and then gets that nectar. Similarly, Bhaja Govindam, just as I said, listening to it itself is very nice. Very nice, beautiful verses one can sing. So it can give us, some happiness just by singing, just like looking. If you know the basic meaning, once you know the basic meaning of those verses and you try to, then it adds to that beauty. But if you really go to the depth of that meaning and reflect on it and make it your own wisdom, then you get that nectar, which is reserved for the serious bee or for the serious seekers, like the bee. That's why this manjurika or flower is a beautiful way to describe these verses of Bhaja. So now you'll be like, ये कितने introduction ही देते रहेगा पूरे session में कि verse भी करना है. So my objective is to try and do one verse apart from the chorus, to maybe do one verse of each. But let's see how much time we have, and depending on that, we will see how much we are able to complete. Okay, yeah. So now let us look at the first verse of Bhaja. I'll just chant the verse. There are different tunes of chanting this. Okay, so I'm going to chant the tune that I am familiar with. Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam, Bhaja Modhamate, Samprapte Sannihite Kale, Nahi Nahi Rakshati Dukrin Karane. So what is it? This is the chorus verse. It's often repeated after every verse. Generally, people say Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam, Bhaja Modhamate. So that's like the chorus. So again, very nice sounding, no? But what does it mean? Bhaja Govindam means seek Govinda, Govindam Bhaja. Seek Govinda. Mudhamate. Oh, fool. Mudhamate. Very nice way to describe a fool. Mate means buddhi. Mudha means covered. One whose intellect is covered. Means what? One whose intellect is not visible. He's Mudhamate. Oh, fool. So those things, the word Shankaracharya is using. Why is he saying that? Because Samprapte Sannihite Kale. When that final moment of your life arrives, or that means at the time of death, nahi nahi rakshiti dukrin karne. This dukrin karna, these rules of grammar that you are learning is not going to save you or be of any use to you at your time of death. This is the first verse or the chorus verse of Bhaja Govindam. Oh, Shankaracharya is telling us not to learn grammar. I never liked grammar in school also. So very good. I am already following Bhaja Govindam. I don't study grammar at all. So is that what Shankaracharya is trying to tell us? That don't study grammar. That's obviously it's much more than. So I'm going to ask very nice. It's of course it's like, I know these are like a rhetorical question, but let's just try to look at it. Suppose your house is on fire and you have a hose pipe with water flowing in it. What will you use it for? A, gardening your plants. B, splashing water on your friends. C, a refreshing bath. D, rain dance with DJ music, which people think is the way to celebrate Holi these days. Dousing the fire in your house. It's not a quiz, okay? I know that most of you know the answer to this. But the point is that, so we all know in this case that all the other things, are they wrong things to do? Gardening your plants is the right thing to do. Playing with your friends is fine. Having a bath is always welcome. And sometimes you can do some rain dance, etc. But in that situation, any of the other responses, if someone is doing, they are apt to be called as a mudhamate. I'll give one more example. Suppose you go into a room and see a cobra on your bed. Will you take a selfie with it? It's a great possibility, I'm telling you, in these days, that people will do that also. The cobra also nowadays will pose maybe for the selfie, we don't know, but will you be doing that? Will you ignore it and say, oh, let it cobra, I mean, I'll go to sleep. Do the Nagin dance in front of the cobra. Watch a documentary about snakes. Oh, a cobra has come to visit me. Let me understand more about it. Or will you lock the room and call a snake catcher? Now, these again will sound like extremely silly questions and silly responses. But the point is, there is a time and a place for everything. In certain part of our life, certain things are quite good. But if one does the whole life only in doing those sort of things, then you are wasting your life. Because you are not doing what is the most appropriate thing to do. So rules of grammar that Shankaracharya mentioned is a symbol of all the things in life which are important in life. Now, okay, remember, knowing the rules of grammar is important to learn grammar. That will in turn help to us to understand many different things. So, you can study Sanskrit, you can study so many beautiful texts, but it has a particular purpose or means for doing many things. But that cannot be the whole purpose of life, to learn grammar. Similarly, so many things that we achieve in life, studying, getting a job, earning salary, getting a house, getting comforts, building a family. Those are all excellent things to be done. Very important and very appropriate for different stages of life. But that cannot be the sole purpose for which we have come to this world. There must be something more and something more urgent that one must accomplish. Therefore, Shankaracharyaji's the urgency of Shankaracharyaji is revealed when he says Mudhamate. It is not that Shankaracharya is arrogantly calling, hey, you're all fools. No. It's just how concerned, like how parents sometimes say, hey, idiot, don't do that. Don't touch the fire. It's not that the parent wants calling the child idiot, but it's just that it's coming out of concern. That's why Shankaracharya is saying that. Mudhamate, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam. Why? Because samprapte sannihite kale, nahi nahi rakshati. When that death comes, when Mr. Death comes, all this will not be of any use at that moment. So when we hear this verse, it's a little alarming sometimes. But then we kind of, pacify ourselves saying that, this is meant for people, who are maybe, who are very, very aged in life, who we know are, maybe more likely to face death, or people who are maybe suffering from terminal illnesses or something like that, where they know that death is going to come. But really speaking, we know that, as I started this thing, but time is finite for everybody. Because Mr. Death is he's a gentleman. He's a very gentleman. Why? Because he will not come and disturb us in between. He will let him live life, let him or her, let them live their lives. I will wait patiently, very patient he is. But when that time comes, he'll come and gently tap you on the shoulder and say that, hey, hi, let's go. But he was very gentlemanly person, Mr. Death is. Yamaraj is very, very gentleman. But do we know exactly when that is? Can anyone write and tell me, okay, this is the day you have an appointment with Mr. Yamaraj? Nobody can tell us that. So do we know till how long we have on this world? Nobody knows that. None of us. We'll see this again a little bit further. So, but when you hear somebody like, hey, don't tell these things also, please. Women, somebody talk death. Some people, they're very, very averse to even listening to these things. But death is only scary for those who have not lived properly. If you have lived a good life and you know what is the way you to live life, you will have no problem about life. It said, the Guru said, someone you should have lived right and then left. That should be your description, autobiography. How was this person? The person lived right, and then left. Meaning, when living, you should know how to live life correctly. So that when the time comes to leave, you can say, chalo, let's go. I've been waiting. I'm not promoting that we should look forward to death. What I'm saying is that when that will happen, we should live life in such a way that we are very, very high, hi, very calmly, invite Imraj, chalo. Oh, time ho gaya? Okay, chalo, let's go. For that kind of life to have been led by us, we should know how to live that life. And that is and we should be able to know what are the right things to do. We must make the best use of what we have. Because in general, time, everything is finite, so we must use it best. So how do we make best use of this? How can we make best use of our life? So if I want to make use of any resources, we need the right tools, right? Supposing, we have these competitions sometimes where something is given, make best out of waste. Now to do that, we need the right set of tools. We need some glue and maybe, we given some scissors or we given some things, with which we can mold the material, create something useful out of it. So to make best use of any resource, we need the right tools to be able to do it. And what are the tools that we have? Our body, our mind, and our intellect. Mana, buddhi, Sharira, Mana, Buddhi. These are the main tools that we have. I'm not going to delve deeper into what is mind, what is intellect, and what are the differences. That's a different topic for more detailed study. For those who want, you have that question, mind and intellect, alag kya hai? Please go to Vedanta. Or please take up any of the Prakarana Granthas, like Tattvabodha or Atmabodha, Viveka Chodamani, etc. You will know more about these things. But we know that we have a body. We know we have something called mind. We know that we have an intellect. That much everybody generally knows. So these are our tools. And these tools are weakened by attachments and delusions. Our attachments and our delusions weaken these tools that we have. So if I have to live my life best, I need my tools in the best condition, which will only happen if we are able to overcome these attachments and delusions. Hence, the need for Mohammadkara. Right? Then further. So, what is Bhaja Govindam? He said, Yacha, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja. 3 times he has said Adi Shankaracharya in his first 2 lines. Bhaja Govindam. What is Bhaja Govindam? The word Bhaja is very interesting. There is a lot of depth that is just in that word Bhaja. Bhaja, we generally think Bhaja means bhajan karna. That is not. Bhaja has many meanings. One meaning of Bhaja is to seek Govinda. That is search for, find God, seek divinity. Bhaja also means worship. Bhaja also means pray. Bhaja also means serve. Bhaja also means surrender. So many dimensions are there to that one word Bhaja. So Bhaja Govinda can mean seek Govinda. It means worship Govinda, pray to him, serve him, surrender unto him. That is what Bhaja Govindam is telling us to do. What it all means, you have to maintain a connection with Bhagwan. Because the only person who can be of use to us at the time of death is someone who is not under the control of death. Right? If suppose, we are somebody, we have been, arrested for some reason, right? Or we have been, wrongfully, somebody is trying to, put some blame on us or fining us. So who can help us in that situation? Somebody who is a superior, right? If somebody who is inferior to that person can help us. They say, nahi, boss ne bola, hum kuch nahi kar sakte. But somebody who is at a higher authority, they only can help us. So for somebody to can be of use to us at that time of death, can only be somebody who is not under the influence of death. That one person is Bhagwan. So therefore, we must connect to Bhagwan. And how to connect with Bhagwan? So many means are there. I am not going to elaborate that. You can choose based on your temperament. Not everybody will connect to Bhagwan in one way. Not everybody is comfortable with doing kirtan and bhajan. Some people will connect in a very different way with Bhagwan. Just simple remembrance of Bhagwan, or some people like to know more about him. Some people like to discuss about Bhagwan. So many ways are there. And our culture is so vast and has so much variety. One can choose a means as per our temperament, but that connection has to happen. And who is Govinda? One meaning of Govinda is Krishna, right? Everybody knows Govinda. Hey Govinda, hey Murare, Shri Krishna Govinda, Hare Murare. So many times Govinda. One is Krishna. Another meaning of Govinda is, Go means our senses. And Vinda means the Lord of the senses. And in Vedantic terms, one knows that the real Lord of all our senses is that consciousness within us, the life within us. That life within us is the one, because all our senses can only function till that life exists. So the Lord of the senses is that life. So Govinda also means seek that center in you, which is the source of all your life. The Bhaja Govindam is thus a call to live a higher way of life. So this is Bhaja Govindam, the brief of it. Right? So now we have seen the first verse. Shankara said the context. Don't waste your time in doing unnecessary things. Focus on things which are important. And what is important is to connect with Bhagwan. So now let us see another. I'm going to pick and choose just a few verses to give you a teaser to all of you. Not possible for me to elaborate on any of this in today's time. So which is the next verse. So what does this verse say? I'll chant it first. Yavat pavano nivasati dehe tavat pruchhati kushalam gehe datavati vayo deha paye bharya bibhyati tasmin kaye bhaja govindam govindam bhaja mudhamate samprapte sannihite kale nahi rakshati dukrin karane. What is yavat pavano nivasati dehe? In the body, dehe, nivasati, stays. Yavat, till when, pavano means air. That means till the life breath remains in your body. Tavat, till then, pruchhati kushalam gehe. Till that time, people will talk about you, will ask you, "Arey, kaise ho? Sab theek chal raha hai? How are you? Hi, everything. How's life?" All that discussion will happen till your life breath remains in your body. Gatavati vayo deha paye. Once that life breath says tata bye bye and leaves, and that body starts to decay, bharya bibhyati tasmin kale. Even your wife, who has adored that body, wife, please don't mistake that this is meant only for wife. It means your life partner, whether it is husband or wife, who has adored that body, or who has such a strong connection with that body. That same person is like, take it away, please, take it away. I don't want that body here anymore. Hammer pada. This Bhaja Govindam. Therefore, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam. So what is Shankaracharya is saying? Some important statistics about death. 59 million people die every year. 2 people die every second. You can do the maths. So since our session started today, for 40 minutes have gone, you can imagine how many people have died. Calculator say calculate. There is no cure discovered for death up till now. Maybe some diseases का cure कल को मिल भी जाएगा, but death का कोई cure नहीं. And 6% of all deaths are accidental deaths, meaning it's not that everybody dies because of some long-term illness or anything like that. 6% people you don't even expect, and we see that, right? Today we are seeing that so often. Some great, very physically fit people, suddenly you hear the news, they're dead. What happened? Some heart attack happened, some cardiac arrest happened. Gone. So death is something which is happening all around us. Some people are, after hearing all this, they are like, why did I join this session today? Depress करने के लिए रखा है ये session. Why is this all being discussed like this? Death. कब से start किया तब से वही बात कर रही है. So I'm sure you may be feeling little. Now people are very uncomfortable when you hear all this. But what is the point here? The point is that death is inevitable. And we know this. In fact, in Yaksha Prashna, in Mahabharata, one of the questions that what is the greatest wonder in life? Yudhishthira says ki everybody sees everybody else dying, but they think they will live forever. That is the greatest wonder, he says. You see everybody else dying, but everybody, you think that you can live forever. That is, everybody knows that death is inevitable. So what does it mean? It means we are guests in our own body. We have a check-in time and we have a check-out time. So we are all paying guests. We have to pay to live in this body. Means what? We have to pay rent. Means we have to do whatever is required to take care of the body. We have to eat every day. We have to drink water. We have to take all that we have to do. Take medicine when we are sick. All the rent we are paying to live in this body. So we are actually rented this body out for some time. And this, as I said, like a hotel room. And it has a specific check-in and check-out period. And remember, when you're staying in a hotel room, you will obviously take care of the hotel room, right? Because that's you're staying there. So you will take care of it, whatever you can. But do we say, oh my God, this hotel room mein bhi chala gaya, I will never leave the hotel room only. All day long, I'll sit inside the hotel room and I will, keep decorating it. For us, a hotel room is just in fact, people stay minimum in a hotel room generally. That's why hotels know that. Because you stay in the hotel room only for the night is for resting. But otherwise, generally, दिन भर तो लोग घूमते रहते हैं. बस hotel room आएंगे, थोड़े टाइम में चले जाएंगे. So we use the hotel room and we accomplish so many things in life. Same thing is to be true for the body. This body actually belongs to nature. It doesn't belong to us. This is Prakriti's, not ours. So therefore, we have to know how to live in this body. And because remember, once that life leaves, again, you'll be like, "Arey, ye sab kya dikha rahe hain?" We get so scared, right? The moment that physical body, our loved ones, our near and dear ones, the moment that life has gone, that body becomes scary. All your horror movies are based on something after the body has died, right? Why is that suddenly become so scary? That same very dear, adored body is now so scary that we want to get rid of it. It starts to decay, it starts to decompose. So when you know that is to be a fact, why should we become so much attached to body that we don't want that we go overboard in taking care of it? That's the problem. I'm just going to point out one thing. You know that the global cosmetics market size was valued around $380 billion in 2019. Okay. Beauty packaging amounts to 120 billion units every year. That includes plastic, paper, glass, metals, all of which ends up in landfills year after year. A study showed that household and beauty products emission contribute to half of volatile organic compounds emitted in 33 urban cities. It's a very vast topic, but you can look at the environmental cost of cosmetics is huge. And this is not, and if you don't buy cruelty-free cosmetics, then some of you may be aware that how it is tested. It's tested on animals. And there are so many, and remember, before you put anything on a human being, so many animals have to face pain and torture before it can, be given to us for humans. So the point is that, am I against cosmetics? They should be shut down? No, 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 of course not. But there should be a limit to anything. And sometimes in our obsession with our body, we go overboard in taking care. And this is only one example, cosmetics. So many things are like that, right? Where so much of effort we spend in just food. So much food we keep on eating. All the time thinking, ye khana hai, wo khana hai, ye khana hai, wo khana hai. So much of food we are eating for the body. One Bhaja Govindam verse deals about it separately. Point is, excessive obsession with the body is pointless, because the moment you leave, that body is gone. That's why we have the those sort of bhasma on the head to remind ourselves that this bhasma is what is this body is going to become one day. That's all it is going to be. So therefore, do not be obsessed with this body. Do not make it the priority of your life. Always. And because that body worship is the Asura cult. So there's an interesting story that Indra and Virochan is the king of the Asuras, and Indra is the king of the Devas. They both went to Brahmaji once, and they wanted to learn what is the truth of life. So he asked, what is the highest self of life? What is the truth of life? What is this consciousness that we keep hearing? So Brahmaji, the Prajapati brings one bowl of water, and he says, please look at it, or look into it. Both of them see it, and Virochan says, "Oh, what I'm seeing the." So Prajapati says, "What you see is the truth." Oh, I see the body, so that's it. The body must be true. So he went and declared to everybody, body alone is the truth. So live for the body. Jo bhi karna hai, karo for the sake of the body. That is the Asura cult. Indra was not satisfied with that explanation. He actually said that, no, how can the body be everything? This is always changing. It was not like this when I was born. It is not like this when I die. And this body will drop one day. So I cannot be the body. Then he inquires further. Then he says, okay, I am maybe seeing the body. So maybe I'm the senses. Then he ponders more and says, no, maybe I'm the mind which is thinking, or I'm the intellect which is aware. And finally he arrives at, no, I am that life consciousness whose presence is making this body exist. And that's why the Devatas take a different route and the Asuras take a different route. So body worship is Asura cult. Is that one must remember that. So we must use body for living and not live for the body. There are two different points of view. We must use this body for living, so we must take care of it in whatever way. But if we try to live for the sake of the body, then we are losing the whole point of it. It's like staying in a hotel room all the time without using the hotel room and going ahead. That is the important point we need to know. So we must go beyond the physical aspect in both ourselves and in others. That is the right way to live life. Otherwise, we are going to continuously be trapped in this life forever and forever. And that is what will happen. And find that which makes the body alive. So that is the secret towards living a higher life. Because otherwise, we keep on living in this for the body alone. Then there is no end to it. There will be a time when we will feel that, okay, I have done enough for the body, but you will never feel like that it's enough. There will always be some or the other things that will be incomplete, or that will require more and more attention. So please remember that what is the means and what is the goal of it. So that is the first thing. Same thing for so many aspects. This is one verse that I'm talking about. Now I'm going to talk about the final verse. As I said, I don't have enough time otherwise to deal with everything, but I'm going to talk about the final verse, the 31st verse. So I'm just giving you, as I said, one hammer I gave you, the chorus verse, then this was one hammer, and then I'm going to jump to the last verse. Because it's like a very beautiful verse. So let me chant that verse. Guru charanambuja nirbhara bhakta samsarad chirad bhava mukta sendriya manasa niyama devam drakshasi nija hridayastham devam. Guru charanambuja nirbhara bhakta. O devotee, on the feet of the Guru, you must always, focus on the feet of the Guru. Samsarada chirad bhava mukta. May you become free from this samsara. How? Sa indriya manasa niyama devam. By keeping the mind and senses under control, and rakshasi nija hridayastham devam, you will come to experience that Lord, that devam, nija hridayastham, in your own hridaya, in your own heart. This is the final verse of Bhaja Govindam, which is also like a blessing. It kind of sums up the whole thing. So what is the Guru's role? I'm going to be very brief about it since I don't have too much time. But a Guru's role is basically to awaken us to a higher way of life. And gurus come in all, they are able to find what is our true potential and unleash it. That's the main purpose of a guru. Anything else a guru can do is only extra. Sometimes guru gives advice also about how to solve our daily problems. Also, he sometimes helps us. Sometimes he will give us just will just talk to us kindly. He will we'll just have a nice person to conversation. All that is there. But the main purpose of guru is two things: to awaken us to a higher way of living and to unleash our true potential. And they have different types of guru. Okay, they have different personalities are there. Some will be talking a lot. Some will never talk. Some will keep traveling. Some will be in one place. So many, some will, talk a lot about scriptures. Some will only do Namasmarana. So there are different styles and different personalities of gurus are there. But they all have a lot of compassion for this world. And therefore, actually, guru is not just one person, but a tattva which takes on different forms in our life. So if you're not sure who is my true guru, don't spend the whole life searching for guru. You pray to that Bhagwan, give me guidance, and that Bhagwan will come to you in the form of a guru. So many devotees have benefited in that. Bhagavadpada himself is in his life only you can see how what great things how the different disciples he got, because from some he went and found, some came to him. So this guru's role is extremely important. And Guru Pada Seva is the GPS, which is the right way to find direction in life. Okay, so Guru Pada Seva is like the GPS that we have to rely on if you want to find the right. If you don't want to get lost in life. Now, this Pada Seva is something we keep hearing, right, so many times. So the feet of the Guru, and Guru Pada Puja is done when the Guru is alive. And generally, when the Guru is not physically present, then a Guru Paduka Puja is done. And these are great upasanas. In many places, you will see this Guru Paduka Puja being done. In different missions also, this is done often. You have so many, you have the very beautiful stotram, you have Guru Paduka stotram, very beautiful to chant. So many things are spoken about this Paduka and the feet of the Guru. So why is so much info given to the Guru's feet? First thing is that the feet, generally, we have so many people, especially today's generation, they're very uncomfortable in touching the feet. Because to touch somebody's feet, we have to bend. Right? So the first thing is that when you serve somebody, to serve the Guru, we must bend, meaning our own ego we have to lower. Till the time we have occurred, we have ego, we cannot serve anybody. And then the Guru's grace will not get because of our ego. So when we ask questions to our Guru, it must be out from a point of view of humility, where we are genuinely wanting to know. Some people ask questions to test the Guru. Guru ko aata hai kya? Ye dekhna padta. That is not the right attitude. So first is to touch anybody's feet, we bow down. So we lower our ego. Second, the feet stand for his values and his principles. We say, I am now standing on my own 2 feet. या वो अपने पैरों पे खड़ा हो गया. Meaning what? Not that वो पहले अपने पैरों पे खड़ा नहीं था, दूसरे के पैर पे खड़ा था. It's not like that, right? वो अपने ही पैर पे खड़ा रहता है. हम सब all stand on, but why do you use that? We say that he is now standing on his own feet, meaning our feet represent what we stand for. I stand for this. Meaning what? Those are the values, those are the principles for which our Guru has stood all his life. What those represent that. So by doing his Paduka Puja means I am following those principles in my life. I am following his footsteps. I am following his footsteps in life so that I will live his values, so that I will benefit from that. And for that, what is to be done by doing that? We have to gain mind control, basically, simply put, by serving. And different means are there for that. And mind and senses are all linked together, because the mind pushes the senses outside, and sometimes the senses drag the mind. Like while this session is going on, maybe suddenly some thought would have come, oh, it's so hot, summer season, maybe I should take some cold water from the fridge. So you get up and you go, or you take a juice or something like that. So what happened? The mind pushed the senses away. Sometimes when you're just, listening to something, you suddenly hear some music and you're like, that song is playing. What time ho gaya gana sun ke, oh. What happened? The senses drag the mind. So both of these are linked together. So mind pushes the senses, and senses sometimes drags the mind. So both these are, it says, Sa Indriya Manasa Niyama Deva. Both senses and mind need to be regular. So you need to restrain the senses and retrain the mind. Both are very important. To restrain the senses and to retrain the mind. And once you do that, you can get tremendous potential. And this is not required not just for spiritual upliftment. For any success in life, this is required. Think about it, right? How are people achieving how are great sportsmen born? When they are in that zone, they are able to train their mind, they are able to train their senses. then they can do well. How do you do well in an examination? You need your senses and mind to be in sync. Any art form, one needs to performance, one needs this have to happen. So in any field of life, to succeed, we must have senses and mind in our control. That is not, it is definitely true for the spiritual field as well. That's why the Guru Shankaracharya is saying, Saindriya Manasa Niyama, bring them to some discipline. And whenever they get moved, and whenever the mind and are getting carried away by some kind of a moha, hammer them with this Bhaja Govinda. So he has given us the tool also. They go, you got to keep the mind, and if the mind is wandering behind some unnecessary stuff, hammer them with the moha mudgara and bring it back on track. And as I said, I only told you one chorus verse and one verse of Bhaja Govinda. So vast it is. So that's so one can reflect on it. So what will be the end result? Okay, so if I do all of that, so I control my mind and all of that, I follow the teachings of the Guru, the end result is ultimate freedom or complete happiness. Drakshasi nija hridayastham devam. Meaning what? All our actions in life have only two primary motives. Obtaining happiness, sukha prapti, freedom from sorrow, dukkha nivritti. And this world of change is defined by limitations which bring sorrow. So the only way to get out of this is to find something unaffected by samsara, by this world of change. Once I am able to find that devam, that God, that divinity, which is unaffected by this samsara, that is the time we will actually be free in life. That will lead us to that complete happiness of freedom. That is nija hridayastham dev. Dakshasi, you will be able to see that. And not anywhere else. You will be able to see that within you. That unlimited cosmic Shakti is the light shining within each of us. And by following this, we will be able to get a direct link to that consciousness within. And experiencing that, we experience Bhagavan, we experience divine. That is like a blessing also that Shankaracharya gives at the end of Bhaja Govindam. Look, you follow all this right now, and I assure you that you will nija hridayastham, you will dakshasi devam. You will see that Bhagavan. So this is just a very, very small teaser of Bhaja Govindam that we have been able to touch upon. Actually, I have not even just done justice to these verses that I've spoken about. But as I said, the idea was to somehow bring to light some of these things and create that curiosity that maybe you might actually want to pick it up and look at it in more detail. So so sum up, we have two paths. Either if we keep on following one path, we'll get into rebirth due to indulgence, or we can take that U-turn and we can achieve freedom in life through spiritual living after reflecting on Bhaja Govindam. And whatever I have been able to share today is only because of the grace of great masters. So I'll conclude my talk by saluting the feet of great gurus and masters. Hari Om. And thank you so much once again for this opportunity.
Thank you, Arvindji, for the captivating talk on Bhaja Govindam in terms of Vishya, Prayojana, Sambandha, and Adhikari. And also thank you for showing us a glimpse of this devotional poem and the importance of Guru and his role in our lives. Thank you once again, Arvindji.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, viewers, for your participation. Please join us for tomorrow's morning session as well from 7 to 8 a.m. Can we have the flyer? The topic for tomorrow's morning session is a Sanskrit talk, a peep into Pratibimba Vada and Avacheda Vada by Vidwan P.R. Vasudevanji. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayaha, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.